Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the three hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hi there, I'm Chris Stashew.
I'm Mike White.
And this is Father Malone.
And we are the hosts of Dreams for Sale, a once-a-month look at the Twilight Zone 1985, or Father Malone's favorite reboot of the show. On this episode, we're going to be taking a look at Season 2, Episode 10 and 11. I guess that we're at the point now where I don't understand the numbering system here, so let's just call this 10 and 11, but this episode is split into three parts: Joyride, Skelter, and Private Channel. So Joyride is the first segment. It is directed by Gil Bettman, written by Cal Willingham, and it stars Rob Knepper, Brooke McCarter, and Heidi Kozak. And it's about two couples that hotwire a classic car.
This car is not called Christine.
No, it sure isn't, but it sure should be, right? Or
it's actually closer to a Buick 8.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it sure is. It's 11 minutes long, so just a heads up as we get ready to talk about this. This is one of these buffer segments, and it feels like it, but not in a bad way.
I thought it was a lot more than 11 minutes, maybe because it dragged. It was nice seeing Rob Knepper, a very young teabag. It took me a while before I actually recognized him.
Teabag?
Yeah,
Teabag from Prison Break.
Oh no, I never watched.
He would get invited onto talk shows because that show was so big, and they'd be like, "You play the character Teabag. What does your nickname come from?"
Well, what I've been told is when you dip your balls in a freak's mouth. That's what I was told.
Oh yeah, I've seen Pecker. I know.
Squat over and dip them in a freak mouth.
Yeah. Actually, a good friend of mine was teabagged in that movie. My friend Scott Huffhines, Scott Unpainted Huffhines, is one of the guys getting teabagged at the bar where, what is that woman's name? Martha Plimpton, where she works.
I think your friend ought to change his name to Arizona.
He when I first met him and I found out his last name was Huffhines, I said, "Do you go by the name Unpainted Huffhines?" And he said, "I've always wanted to, but I didn't think anybody would get that joke." So then he started using Unpainted. I was very happy about that.
There you go, Mike. They're making
spreading joy.
Make the change you want to be in the world, right? See the change you want to be in the world. Yeah. The segment is weird because the story that it's telling doesn't have a conclusion.
It does have a conclusion. It's just that it's wrapped up in expositional dialogue that none of the characters would have understood or fathomed at the moment it was happening.
That's why I'm not giving the episode credit as having an ending. Because that's not good. That's not good enough. That is such a lantern hanging bullshit way of ending the episode. He's like, this must have been his confession. Like, who the fuck? How the fuck did you know that? What? How did you know? Like, did you know him? No. What the fuck conclusion are you jumping to? Because that's a jump to conclusions if I've ever seen one.
Not skillfully made.
Did you guys notice the world that these four characters live in before they jump into this car? It's like some sort of weird post-apocalyptic world. Like there's newspapers everywhere on the ground. I was just like, what is going on? This was like, did they forget to clean up the set? Or are we supposed to think this is spooky because there's paper all over the ground? I was like, what is happening here?
They were like, well, this is the backlot somewhere, so just throw a bunch of random pieces of set around and hopefully people won't ask too many questions.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I got the idea that they were trying to tell us that these were kids from the bad part of town.
Right.
But also the set decorator going, Jesus Christ, how many times are we going to use this backlot? Like, let's try and do something different with it.
It's not the worst of these buffer episode segments that we've seen, but I'm glad that it's 10 minutes or 11 minutes. Like, I am so glad.
I liked the concept that while they were in the past, the car is bombing around the streets and doing all these crazy things, and then in the present, the car is still stationary. Like that was kind of cool, but I think it actually would have been better longer and with a better director, because the action scenes are not very thrilling at all, and because they have it at a 10-minute length, we don't really get to know anything about any of these characters and what's going on. I mean, was Robert Knepper's character, was he possessed of the other guy?
Yes, I would assume so.
I mean, I'm hoping that, because otherwise, he just randomly shoots cops in the face and doesn't have to pay for that. I certainly thought the episode took a wild turn once he executed the guy pulling him over.
You're not acting like yourself, Alonzo. I hope not.
Yeah. The guy in the back, the younger brother, that's Brooke McCarter, who had very few roles, but he was a Lost Boy. He's one of the 4 Lost Boys.
I thought he looked familiar.
Yeah, he had gotten himself a haircut apparently by this time.
Okay.
But no, actually, I think he did this directly after the Lost Boys, because it's around the same time frame. So, and I thought he was pretty good in this, actually.
I mean, he wasn't given much to do. I frankly don't think anyone other than Rob Knepper was given anything to do. And even what Rob Knepper is doing is just kind of act weird, man, and act confused, right?
Pretty much.
To act against what the characters believe your type is, even though we don't know what his personality is, other than the characters saying that's not the way he normally is. Okay?
Yeah. This isn't like you, man.
Was it like him to steal the car in the first place? I guess so, because he's a bit of a prankster.
It feels
his
like
starter
it, yeah.
pistol.
Hilarious! Isn't it funny to point guns at your friends?
Younger brothers.
Yeah. No, it's not. Don't do that. Ever. Starter pistol. Yeah. Let's talk to Brandon Lee all about guns that aren't actually loaded and how dangerous they are or aren't. Like, it's fucking weird. This whole segment's just weird, and I wish we could talk to Cal Willingham and ask him, like, what was the influence for this? Because I would love to know where he got this idea from. Because I bet it was like, when he was a kid growing up, he saw some old car parked in a driveway and was like, wouldn't there be an interesting story to tell off of this? It's like, I guess, but I'm not sure this is that story.
Yeah, a lot of the interstitial segments are clearly made for that. Like they got. I don't think there was a paring down process, like somebody submitted a full script. I get the sense that this was somebody tried to get a full half hour made, and they went, no, just cut it down to 10 minutes, and we'll stick it in there.
I'm glad they did.
Yeah, well, it's not great. It
made
okay.
more time for something like Skelter, so there is that at least.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that is a positive. Because I'm not sure this needed more time, but I don't think Skelter could have used any less time. So, shall we move on to Skelter?
Sure.
Yes.
So let's talk about the next segment, Skelter. So, Shelter Skelter is directed by Martha Coolidge, written by Ron Cobb and Robin Love. Yes, that Ron Cobb. And it stars Joe Mantegna and a very, very, very young John Grease, though I guess you could make the case it's a very young Joe Mantegna as well. And Joe Mantegna is a QAnon supporter, and he has a fallout shelter. And he goes completely off the grid with his buddy once the nuclear holocaust happens.
I thought you were saying that he really was.
I mean, look, he is a fuck. I mean, look, that's the thing about this episode that is like unapologetically hilarious in 2021 is it totally is just roasting people who are like this. And these people have proven themselves to be a lot more prevalent than a lot of people in polite society thought they were. And it's funny to watch this story play out the way it plays out.
I remember watching this episode back when it aired, and the concept of the survivalist was one that was in the air, but it wasn't like I ever had any interaction or definitely set my eyes on these people. But nowadays, holy shit, yeah, you definitely could have made this today. It makes this episode a little more prescient than it intended to be, maybe.
Well, that we had a whole show called Doomsday Preppers. It's like, holy shit, these people are very prevalent. Okay. Yikes.
Yeah, like I don't know any, but I'm sure that I know people who know people that are. So I would stake my life on it that I at least have a close connection who knows someone like this. And I mean, I know people, people that live in my neighborhood and other folks that are Trump supporters and QAnoners. So this is, I mean, they don't say that obviously because this was made in 87, but like, again, the transitive property is still there. The paranoia is still there because it's more this episode is more about paranoia than it is being a survivalist. It's about, what happens when people are susceptible to paranoia and the lengths to which your paranoia will take you. And I really like this segment a lot. Even it is like bleak as bleak can get until the twist ending. I like this segment a lot.
It was nice seeing Joan Allen in here, and I like that Joan Allen just has no time for Joe Mantegna and all of his shit.
Were we to assume that she was going to divorce him anyways? I guess, that's what it seems like when he's like, come back! The world's about to end. She's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, pal.
I don't even know if it was a divorce situation. It was just I'm tired of your survivalist bunker bullshit. Like,
incessant.
She had to drive how many hours to get to her sister's to take the kids out for a little while, and he's like, "Come back immediately because my latest paranoid fantasy might be coming true."
But he's in the middle of nowhere, but yet they're close enough to a military base.
Oh, I didn't get the idea that they were in the middle of nowhere. I thought they were just in a town that was close to an air base. So that town did get destroyed.
Sure.
But she made it clear that she was driving a long way to visit her sister, so she would be without the blast radius.
So the whole episode is about Joe Mantegna's character and his friend John Grease going into this fallout shelter after they think the world ends, after they think the world has been turned into glass. But it turns out, and I know this is going to be what we talk about probably more than most of the episode, maybe except for Joe Mantegna's performance. What do you guys think about the twist? Because the twist ends up being very similar to, and I'm sure you guys are going to love that I make this reference, the film Blast to the Past with Brendan Fraser and Christopher Walken. I mean, it is, isn't it? It's very much in the vein of we are prepared for the nuclear holocaust, but something happens that makes us think it's the nuclear holocaust, but in actuality, it's, in that movie, I think it's a jet that they the guy ejects out of and it has a problem and it blows up their house. And then in this, it's a bomb goes off, a broken arrow incident where a nuke goes off by accident at the Air Force Base and it destroys the entire town. And that shocks the world from the brink of war.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. There was a Paul Bartel movie. Was it Shelf Life? That had something of a similar premise as well, as far as kids being raised in a bomb shelter and coming out and being not socially adjusted. And was there one Kimmy Schmidt or something like that? The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, was that similar as well?
Where they thought,
Yeah.
They thought the world had ended. They had been convinced the world had ended and lived in a bunker for a decade.
Yeah, by John Hamm.
I also remember around this time, and this is, of course, at the height of the Cold War, there was an HBO movie about a group of people who go into a bomb shelter like as an experiment, and then the powers that be that were doing the testing convinced them that it actually had happened just to watch their reactions. So, this episode is not like a fluke. Like I think it was just a trend in American entertainment at the time. But this one certainly stayed with me for years. I don't say I was gleeful at the fact that Joe Mantegna ends up stuck in that bunker forever, but I'm not unhappy that it did. I feel bad for Jonathan Gries, who should have heeded the knocking of the obviously the rescuers when they came by to find any survivors, but. That's this. Look, Joe Mantegna's character clearly wanted this more than anything. It sort of goes beyond paranoia. It's just dying for society to collapse in on itself so that he can emerge and be king. So stay in that dome, sucker.
Yeah. It's it really does cut to, and I know we try not to make the politicize our podcast, but this really does, like you said, cut to the prescient nature of this podcast. Because a lot of it is like trying to will into existence the things that you want. Because that's what you want to happen. Whether or not it is actually happening is beside the point to you. You want it to happen one way or another. And like, that's this entire episode. Is like your paranoia is self-serving. You want the end of the world to happen, so the end of the world happened, even if it didn't.
I mean, it feels like this could be one of the original episodes.
Yes.
Like, that idea, the paranoia and the fear of the other, all of that stuff feels very much like Rod Serling could have been writing something like this. So,
and that's what makes this so good.
Yeah.
Like,
I did think it was a little odd that as much preparation as he had done, which he lovingly spells out for us, he didn't bother to get a radiation suit for anybody when it came time to venture forth.
He also didn't have a better option other than lower the antennas.
Yeah.
Like,
you fool.
Yeah, you didn't lower the antennas. You just showed this to him.
Right.
You fucking dickhead.
I did like that, actually. I did like the, because a person like that would have figured out a way to receive communication. So I thought that was a clever way to knock it out immediately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like this segment. I think this is one of the better segments that we've seen this season. And I think that, like you mentioned, Mike, this is one of the segments that, like, you could have convinced me that this was a remake of the original show. Mm-hmm. With how much this felt like just like a very timeless story. Because you could set it now, too. Just do the same thing.
I don't know how many bomb shelters are being built these days, but yeah, definitely at the time when this was happening, like Father Malone and I have been saying, we were seeing this in a lot of movies. I mean, even like Grease 2, I think, had a whole bomb shelter scene as well. So it's like, it was very much part of popular culture, this idea of the bomb shelter. And I would not be surprised if, like, there were many sitcoms that had bomb shelters as a device.
Well, I mean, you look at something like the video game Fallout or other stuff, like the Fallout shelter thing, like, I think is a lot more popular now than it was in the 90s, but obviously in the 70s, 80s, 60s, during the height of the Cold War, like, everybody knew about it. There was no way you didn't.
Have you guys ever seen the film Chosen Survivors from 74?
No.
I would recommend that you check it out. It's pretty interesting. It's like this whole idea of picking the greatest minds to repopulate the Earth after the apocalypse, and they all get into this fallout shelter, and they are all set up to live. And then don't look it up, and especially don't look at the poster. Something bad happens, and it turns into a whole other movie. It's really good.
Oh, okay.
It sounded like that setup for that. Boy, I don't know why I keep referencing The Simpsons. That one Treehouse of Horrors where they send Homer and Bart into the sun, and they have all the smart people on the other. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Homer and Bart are like, yeah, we got away from Earth as it's about to be destroyed, and it turns out they're on the space shuttle with like Tom Arnold and Roseanne and Carrot Top, and it turned out that they're going into the sun. I'm just going to take it upon myself now, like in Red Letter Media, how they always talk about Star Trek The Next Generation, just to stink up every podcast with Simpsons references. Because it's
God,
so...
You just hate those Red Letter Media guys. My God.
They're such garbage. The worst. But again, like even that's in the early 90s, like, and they're doing that same thing with Fallout Shelter.
Yep.
I mean, there's an episode of The Simpsons with a Fallout Shelter where it like shows up in the last half of the episode where there's a meteorite coming and Flanders has a Fallout Shelter,
of course,
and he gets
does.
kicked out of his own Fallout Shelter. Like this Fallout Shelter thing is like, it's an interesting device that has come back now recently. But like, I think in the late 90s, early 2000s, like nobody really talked about it.
Yeah, I don't know that this wasn't going to show up in that mid reboot of the Twilight Zone. I don't think anyone was the idea of nuclear conflict and doomsday was no longer floating around in the public consciousness.
Right, it was just being driven by terrorism and xenophobia.
Right.
So let's talk about the final segment of this episode, Private Channel. So Private Channel is directed by, once again, Peter Medak, written by Edward Redlick, and it stars Scott Coffey and Andrew Robinson. Once again, he was in Profile in Silver last season. And Scott Coffey plays a dickhead teenager with a Walkman that turns into a telepathic device. And this, I will say at the start of this segment did not go where I was expecting. I thought this was going to be a version of the thing we saw in the reboot from 2018 with Adam Scott.
Oh, okay.
Was it an airplane, Twilight Zone?
Yeah.
Like,
and you're listening to headphones to things you shouldn't be able to hear.
Yeah, like I was like, oh, is there going to be a gremlin on the wing again? Like, or is this like their version? Did they already do it? But no, this goes in a very different direction, and I really appreciated that. I don't know if it works particularly well in some respects, but I did appreciate it went in a completely different direction.
It reminds me of one of the original ones, and I think it was Dick York might have been in it, where every morning he would go to this newspaper guy and he would flip a quarter into this guy's box where he collected the money for the newspapers, and one morning he flips this quarter and it lands boop right on its edge, and they're just like, what are the chances of that? That's 1,000,000 to 1. That's crazy. And then he goes into work and he starts hearing people's thoughts, and he works at a bank, and he starts to hear these people plotting a robbery, and of course nobody believes him. So it was kind of like this, as far as like Andrew Robinson wants to blow up the plane, playing into our 80s paranoia of bombers on planes, which was great. But the idea of him being able to put the headphones on Andrew Robinson and make him hear the other people's thoughts, that was definitely a twist I didn't see coming.
Yeah, I liked this episode a lot when I saw it, and I liked it again watching it now. I think I dropped my Walkman into the sink and it got electrified explanation is not necessarily something we needed, but I liked...
Yeah, but like, what were they gonna do? Like, what else could they have done?
I know.
I agree with you. It's really dumb, but like, if this is the story they were trying to tell, this is like less dumb than I thought. I was half expecting him to be shocked by lightning through the window.
Well, put me in a writer's room with all the other Twilight Zone writers. I think we could have come up with something better. But that is, again, a minor quibble. That's just the MacGuffin to get the thing going, which I understand, because overall I liked it. I liked what a prick Scott Coffey was for most of the episode, and I thought his performance was really good, particularly once he realizes what he's got, playing into his ears. And that resolution, as you said, Mike, where the MacGuffin itself becomes the means with which they sort of diffuse the situation, I thought was really clever. So, it did definitely play into that paranoia at the time of, crazy bombers taking down airplanes, which
that would never happen.
Gone away. But that was the other kind of huge bugaboo in the sort of mid '80s. Either they're going to bomb us into nothingness, or someone's going to bomb you when you're in an airplane. I like this episode a whole bunch. Thought it was, if you removed Joyride from this episode, then you've got a really solid hour of television.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and if you remove Joyride, maybe Private Channel would have gotten a little bit more. I'm not sure it would have needed it. I do like how we have these like Andrew Robinson flashbacks that are so well done they seem like they're from a movie we're not seeing. Like these flashbacks are really good in a way that I don't see flashbacks in a lot of things like this, where I like watching them, it literally feels like he's watching the movie of this guy's like story. And I like that about this episode segment, because you really do get the sense that there is this bigger story going on, and Scott Coffey's character, by hook or by crook or by luck itself, becomes the reason Andrew Robinson's plan doesn't come to fruition. And I like that setup. I like, you know, when he's, like you said, when he's putting the earphones on him and he's hearing all this stuff and he's like losing his mind completely. It's really effective.
Yeah, that was nice. I mean, and Robinson is just so fucking good. I just always love when that guy shows up, and I was just super happy to see him show up in this.
He can be really personable looking, like in, I don't know, a Profile in Silver or other things. I was going to say Dirty Harry, I was just to be an asshole, but I mean, Andrew Robinson's a great actor, and getting to see him like portray a character that you're not supposed to have any suspicions of initially is nice. Because he can play menacing really well.
Hell yes.
Yeah, like
and when he starts off, I think he's sort of the proxy for the audience, right? Where it's just like, this fucking kid bouncing around and fucking hitting sticks on everything. Like, so good turnaround there.
And look, and like you said, Mike, I'll never say no to more Andrew Robinson. I really won't. I love it. I mean, I've loved him as an actor since I saw Hellraiser for the first time. So, I'm glad he showed up another time. I think this is probably the only other time we're going to see him in the show. Do you guys think he did a better job in this than he did in Profile in Silver? Or do you think they're about on even footing?
Equal. Different animals, I mean.
Yeah, and one you're playing JFK, the other one you're playing a crazy animal.
Yeah, in the Profile in Silver, like you said, I mean, he's playing JFK, and he did a really for looking virtually nothing like JFK.
Yeah.
I think he pulled that off. So maybe I'll say Profile in Silver is a better performance, but you know, he's just great all around.
Yeah, I would agree. And again, it's nice to see an actor that is a high quality actor being given something interesting to do, because similarly to our other episodes or other podcasts, Chronicles from the Crypt, where we talk about Tales from the Crypt, there have been many instances on this show where you have actors we know are talented being given nothing to do. And it's
Ralph
a shame
Bellamy, I'm looking at you.
Yeah. It's a shame on this show. It's a shame on any anthology series, be it original Twilight Zone, Tales from the Crypt. You know, I don't know. You could make the case for a lot of shows that do something like this. So I'm glad that this episode gives Andrew Robinson something to do again. Because if you had him show up and he did nothing the second time, I would be really disappointed given how good he was the first time. But I like this segment a lot.
Yeah, like Father Malone said, this was a pretty solid episode. Maybe without Joyride.
But even then, like I don't feel like we've been overwhelmingly positive a lot this season.
No, we ran into some real stinkers, especially early on.
Yeah, so I'm okay with even Joyride not being the strongest of the three, with these two being as strong as they are. This has been one of the better episodes that we've seen this season.
I agree.
Totally.
Yeah. So on the next episode of Dreams for Sale, we're going to be taking a look at episode 12 and 13 of the second season of the show. That is Time and Teresa Golowitz and Voices in the Earth. Until then, what have you been up to over at the projection booth, Mr. Mike White?
When months this come out? Well, you can find me over at the Projection Booth Podcast, which is available at projectionboothpodcast.com.
What about you, Father Malone?
Check me out at fathermalone.com. You can check out my podcast's half-hour radio drama called Dark Destinations. Also, hear me over for the very last time soon at Chronicles from the Crypt, the show Chris and I do about Tales from the Crypt, the television series from HBO.
And as for me, you can find me on Twitter at Christmas Claus. As always, you can find this podcast on the internet at Twilight Zone 85 and at Twilight Zone 85 on Twitter as well. Big thanks, as always, to Roxy Drive and Neutron Dreams for the music for the podcast, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Are you a film fan who loves the ultimate home video experience? Look no further than The Disconnected. Your host, Ryan Verrill, is your go-to source for the latest and most accurate information on home video releases, exclusive interviews with industry insiders and filmmakers, and has established a thriving community where every film and physical media enthusiast feels welcome. From hidden gems to blockbuster hits, The Disconnected brings you insider knowledge and a welcoming space to share your love of cinema. Watch every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific for the live announcements show and follow The Disconnected on social media to stay updated. Subscribe to The Disconnected on YouTube or on the podcast provider of your choice and dive into a world where every movie night is an adventure.